What's going on, lads and lasses? Welcome back to the channel. So Alexander Isak has said this week that he wants to explore moves away from Newcastle United. I mean, I'm pretty annoyed at the way this whole situation has gone on and the way Isak has dealt with the situation, his agents dealt with the situation. And should we really be here to begin with? Well, let's get into it, let's discuss it, and let's break it down. So, looking at it, like I say, Alexander Isak has expressed his opinion that he wants to move away from Newcastle United. Now, is this agent-driven? Is this Alexander Isak himself? Or is this all because of, the club not putting the contract to him? Well, the club did put a contract to him. According to my knowledge, the club put a 200 grand contract a week to him, and it's been rejected. Now, would we be in this situation if it wasn't for the likes of Paul Mitchell, who said at the time when Isak wanted to sign a deal, no, you don't need to do that. You've got 3 years on your deal, which upset Isak because Isak wanted to sign the deal right there and then. So is this a situation that, can be blamed on Paul Mitchell, or is this always been under the surface boiling with Alexander Isak? Has he always, felt in this way at Newcastle, that maybe he feels that he's bigger than the club? And to be honest, nobody is bigger than the club. That doesn't just necessarily mean our club, Newcastle United, but I mean any player in football is not bigger than the team that they are playing for. At the end of the day, the name on the front of the shirt, which is the team name, by the way, is always more important than the name that is on the back of the shirt. And that has always been the case in my eyes. And this is obviously something that has been there for a while. Now, don't get us wrong, Alexander Isak is, one of the best players in the world, if not the best striker in the world right now. And, I would love him to stay, but with him doing something like this, that really does boil my skin. It really does annoy us to no end to see, this sort of reaction from a player that has been given so much from Newcastle United. He's been given so much from us fans. If you go to any other club, and this is a personal message to Alexander Isak, which I know he's not going to see this video, but it's a personal message if he just happens to come across this video at some point, that if you go to any club out there right now, you will not get what you've got in Newcastle United. You will not get the support that you've got at Newcastle United. Yes, you can go to the likes of, say, Liverpool or anywhere else, and you can win trophies. Yeah, fair enough. You can go, you can win trophies, you can win the Premier League, you can win the Champions League. But you could do that at Newcastle. We're going to do that eventually at some point. We've won the League Cup last season. We're on that path now where we are heading towards, winning more silverware. Why do you need to move away from Newcastle United to win more silverware? I do not know. If it's a money thing, the contract he's asking for is about 300 grand. Newcastle's offered 200 grand a week to him. That makes him our biggest wage possible. That makes him have a higher wage than the likes of Bruno. It gives him a higher wage than Tonali. It gives him a higher wage than all of them lads that are on the team. And I could see why we're not, budging on that wage. 200 grand a week is a really good wage. At the end of the day, on 120 grand, I think it is, or something like that, at the club already at the minute, right? So if you think about it, 200 grand, that's a pretty big upgrade from the current wage that you're on at the moment. So really, if it's about the money, then that's not the kind of player, we really want in our team. We don't want players that are here just for the whole purpose of the money. And I don't know what has stirred this. I really don't. It's just not good. It really isn't. It just doesn't portray a good image of Alexander Isak. You know, he's done some really good stuff here, and it seems very, very out of place that all of a sudden now he wants to move away from Newcastle United. He wants 300 grand a week. He's, you know, exploring his options, as the reports were said by Craig Hope and some other media outlets, the likes of Ornstein and Romano, are just going straight at it and saying, you know, that he wants to leave. They're throwing Liverpool's name in there, and Liverpool's name's been thrown in, to be honest, the entire time for Alexander Isak. But at 150 million, which is what the reports are saying, that the club is interested in, you know, looking at and considering the deal at, I'd be going a lot higher than that. You know, Alexander Isak is one of the best strikers in the world, if not the best striker in the world right now. He's deadly in front of goal. He knows how to put the ball in the back of the net, and that is a rare commodity in football. There's not that many players out there that can put away the ball as good as Alexander Isak does. So 150 million, yeah, it's a good fee, but it's not the fee that we should be asking for Alexander Isak. We should be looking bare minimum 200 million. We should be looking at breaking the world record fee in football. We should not just be looking at breaking the British record fee. This is, you know, a player that since joining Newcastle United has scored more goals in less appearances. If you look at his time at Real Sociedad, he had less goals but more appearances. He's come to Newcastle, he's produced more goals in fewer appearances. So that in itself shows, you know, that he's improved his game. He's become a much better player than what he was when he joined Newcastle United. And we've put all this work into this lad, and we've put all this effort and training into this lad, and we've, you know, honed his skills. And now somebody wants to come along and pay us 150 million for all of that work. We paid 63 million for Alexander Isak. 150 million isn't a good deal in my book for that. It might sound like it, but it's not much of a profit when you consider, you know, the factor of putting in how much you paid for the lad and then you profit on top of that, you know. So it's really not a good deal. We should be looking at 200 million bare minimum. And the reports I've seen today from some media outlets are saying, I think it was The Athletic that was saying it, are saying that it could be somewhere in the region of a 250 million deal for Alexander Isak. 200 million just for the sign him, for the deal, of course, to get the negotiations, and then 50 million just for the wages as well. So that's 250 million. That is the fee that, you know, we should be looking at here for a player of this caliber. I mean, this is a rare commodity, a player that can score goals as good as Alexander Isak does in the Premier League. And then, you know, we've got the talk of a replacement that we are already monitoring, which is Benjamin Sesko of RB Leipzig. Newcastle United are wasting no time on this one. We are lining up a big name replacement should Isak leave this summer. We don't want to be left with our proverbial dick in our hands here, you know, it come the end of this transfer window. We don't want to be left going into this season without a striker up top and without a player like Alexander Isak, or a player of that caliber up top, somebody that, you know, knows how to score the goals. We don't want to be just left with somebody like Will Azula, who is a brilliant player, don't get us wrong, but he's young, he's raw, he's not quite honed his talents yet. And we do not want to be left in that situation where we've only got that lad up top to, you know, see us through to the January window or see us through for the rest of the season. So Newcastle are lining up a possible replacement, a big name replacement, and that is, of course, Benjamin Sesko. He's been on our list for quite a while, and not many people will be surprised by this because we have been looking at this lad for a long, long time. 22 years old, Slovenian international, and he has been banging away goals in the Bundesliga. He's strong in the air, he's quick over the ground, he's clinical in the box, and he's a regular for the Slovenian national team. You know, this lad is just absolutely brilliant. His agent has been in Newcastle many, many times before as well. So this is a deal that I could see we're doing. So definitely keep an eye on Benjamin Sesko to Newcastle United. But as for Alexander Isak wanting to move away from Newcastle United, I mean, this isn't what I thought Isak was. You know, I didn't think Isak was this kind of player that, you know, was going to hop at over 100 grand extra to a wage. And it looks like there's a lot of people going to be monitoring this move. I think we might be, you know, seeing this move go on for quite a while in this transfer window, but I don't think it'll go on for crazy amount of time of the window, because we will obviously have a cut-off point. We want to get this sorted as quick as possible. If he's going to be staying, then, you know, he's got 3 years left on his deal. That still gives us a massive leverage in the transfer negotiations on Alexander Isak. But then, of course, the whole situation of him coming in and saying that he wants to explore options does kind of weaken our negotiation a little bit. But on the upside, we do still have a 3-year deal on Alexander Isak, so it doesn't quite weaken with as much as it would if it was a lesser contract, of course. But till next time, you know, let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let us know what you think about this whole situation. I mean, I'm absolutely disgusted at the way Alexander Isak has went about this. His agencies went about this, and I really do feel sorry for, you know, Eddie Howe. What Eddie must literally be just at this point so fed up, because we've went for quite a few different players in this window, and other clubs are poaching them away because they can offer the bigger fees, and that's not our fault. You know, we can offer, from the reports, like I say, for Isak, 200 grand a week. You know, that is a big, big fee. When you consider that we've got players like Bruno and Sandro and Joe Linton and Anthony Gordon, you know, who are on less than that. But that is the problem that we come up with when you get the fact that if you were to give the 200 grand a week to Alexander Isak, then you're going to have the likes of Gordon, who's wanting 200 grand a week, Bruno, who would be ending up wanting a bigger contract as well, Sandro would want a bigger contract, then Big Joe, and before you know it, you've got a crap ton of players all on 200 grand a week, and the money what you need to be spending on bringing in talent to go with them players is going right out the door, and it's going on wages instead of players coming in to, you know, build out the squad, improve the squad going forward. And that is a situation we don't want to be in. That's a situation that we see all of these other clubs, the likes of Man United, in, and that isn't the situation we want to be in. We don't want to be seeing all of our money going out the door on wages. We want to see the money going out the door on bringing players in that can, you know, go around the likes of a Bruno, a Sandro, a Joe Linton, an Anthony Elanga, Anthony Gordon. You know, these are players that we need to be building around, and we can't do that if, you know, we go with a 200 grand a week for every player that's on the starting 11. It just doesn't work. It really doesn't work. But let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Till next time, remember to like, share, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all in the next one. However, lads.